Hi there, I'm back with another Vanish example here. This image is from Jeff on the forum. He wanted to take out some distractions in this really good shot here. I love this shot. This tower, power distribution tower over here, we want to remove, as well as a couple artifacts. I'm going to take out this little dust speck on the sensor here first and get that out of the way. And I think that's pretty good in that area. Then we'll go to the tower here. There's a little speck over here I'll get rid of. And then for the tower, I tried this using masks and without masks, and I think it's easier to handle this without the masks. And the way that I did it was, if you start inside an area, I'll just show you this first, and you drag, it determines that the tower is part of the image because it occurs all the way around the Vanish. So it'll try to bring some of the tower inward. Instead of doing that, I'll delete this row here and then refresh it. If you start outside the tower area and work, it'll tend to cut away pieces of the tower as you go. And I'm not going to worry about the fact that it creates little pieces in the clouds because it's pulling areas from up here, because that can easily be cleaned up later. I'm just going to take off as big a chunk as I can without creating too many artifacts and just drag to where I see if I go too far, it's dragging blue sky from up top. I don't want to have to correct that much, but something like that is easily corrected later. So I'm just going with relatively large Vanish circles here to get rid of the main pieces as I go. And again, I'm not going to worry a whole lot about lines in the clouds like this, because I'll show you these are easily vanished later with vanishes on top. So I'm taking pretty big chunks of this tower as I go down, and you can even get, depending on how far you drag, you can get gradients that really smooth things out like that. And if you go a little bit further, then the detail starts coming back. So I'm looking at that as I drag, and I actually think the gradient looks pretty good right there. So I'm going to leave it there, take off this big chunk, and just keep working my way down. And if I find that as I work down, it's dragging the dark areas of the clouds down with it, then maybe I'll go to the bottom and start coming up a little bit. Or I'll go out to the side here, knowing that if I start at the side, it's probably going to drag information from the side. And any little defects that are created as I go, I can just go back over those later. I'm doing them a little earlier now just to show that you can get rid of that. And I'm just going to go here, I'm going to go with a really large radius, see what happens. See, that looks pretty good right there, knowing that later I can clean up this little area here. So I'm just going to keep going downward, and down here maybe I'll be a little bit more careful because I want to keep the blue sky down here. So I'll do a little bit smaller ones in here, keep going on top. And I just want to break it up so that I still have blue sky in this area. I don't want to go too far, it'll start dragging the dark areas down. So in this area here, I'll just keep going. Now down here I did use a mask, and the reason for that is I want to keep this dark rock here, and I don't want that to be affected. So I'm going to put a mask right here, go just down to the rock. And I see some pieces still in there, so I'll just tap once in here and give it a double dose there. That might have gone too far, so I don't want to chew at this rock any. So I'll do it manually, just create another one like that just to get rid of those dots inside. Down here I'll put another mask about right there. Now when I go to the Vanish here, I'm going to put my mouse cursor right at the top of this rock, because I don't want to get rid of anything down here. Even though the masks are here, I like to put it right at the edge of what I want to keep and then drag away, and it will, if you go too far, it's dragging information from the top, and you got some snow there that's coming up from the bottom. But what I want is I want to see that the majority of the area there is the blue sky that I like, which is about right there. Now again, I don't care about this snow. I'm going to get rid of this piece of mask by doing that, and this piece of mask by dragging in here, and then this little piece of snow that came up I can get rid of with another mask on top of that, and just clean up this area a little bit right here. And after that, it's basically just a matter of cleaning up the clouds, and I want to get rid of these power lines here that are not that visible anyway, but I'm going to just, again, I'm using pretty large radius for these, and it actually creates a gradient there, which is good because it gets rid of the detail while keeping the color. And you go just far enough and it gets rid of the power lines but none of the detail in the sky. See, if you go too far, then you end up with something like that. But if you go just the right distance, you can get rid of the power lines there and keep the color of the sky. And again, up here, I'm just going to blend this in. Again, I'm still using pretty large radius here. And if I'd rather have more white than the darker clouds here, then I can click in the darker portion of the clouds and make a fairly large radius and go just to the point where it starts dragging the white cloud down into the dark. Because remember, you click on what you want to get rid of, and by doing that you end up dragging the white down into the area that you're getting rid of. And I'm just going to try different radius here till I get something that I like, and then smooth up. I can mold these clouds to any shape that I want by picking a different radius. If I want it to look a little bit puffier, then I'll click out here and drag a little bit more of the dark up so that it looks nice. And basically, the more you vanish on top of other vanishes, the smoother it gets. If you want this area here a little bit smoother, you can click inside here and drag, and you can see that it'll smooth that out. The more you use, the more that it'll smooth it. So right now, I think that looks pretty good. And again, if you think you don't like this line here and you want it to puff out a little bit, put your mouse cursor over here, knowing that it's going to drag some of this white toward where you first touch. Click out here and drag a little bit, and it'll pull that white out. Now it looks puffier and it's not such a line. So that's how I handled the tower, and hopefully this will help you a lot, do these things a lot quicker. Thanks for watching.